Welcome to all the classic car enthusiasts. Okay, so the ongoing build of this track day car. So what I'm going to do is I've got a neighbour down here who has fish and he uses it at the weekend and he's here during the week, and the tent, the downside to the tent is obviously it doesn't hold any noise, and if you're cutting or welding it's very easy to damage the plastic tent material. I've got fireproof blankets I could use, but it's better to keep the noise down from the compressor and everything else if I move the Mini into the back wooden shed where it's less noisier and the compressor is in the tools, and bring the XK out here. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'll do it in quick motion because it's just a matter of changing. I say quick motion, I'll just speed it up so I can swap them both around and start taking this front off the Mini, which I will do in real time so you can see what I'm up to.
Get your skates on, mate. Get your skates on, mate. No bib around your Gregory Peck today. Hey, from your plates of meat, right upon the seat. This is the Self-Preservation Society. This is the Self-Preservation Society. Gotta get it moving, move on. Jump in the jump, gotta get straight. Hurry up, mate, it's gonna be late.
Okay, so I've already started working on this front. I've actually cut drilled out the spot welds in the top corners here. I've cut the two A panels right in line with the flange with the returned edge. Now basically I have to cut the inner wing to take the front off. It does seem like somebody's put some welds underneath here which might be a bit more difficult to get to, so it probably won't come off in one shot. This side looks like it will come off, but what I will do is I'll put a strap on it first so it doesn't fall away and get damaged and hit the ground. So I'll put some kind of strapping around here to stop it getting damaged. Okay, since the video I put part one out of the shell, a guy called Richard Allen, he has a channel called Richspec. He has 8-port heads and he does a lot of souping up of these engines. Very knowledgeable guy. So please go over and check out his channel, Richspec, chap from Yorkshire. Richard made some comments on the last video which make absolute sense to me, and I think he's right. And I've rethought through it. And one of the things I was thinking about with this scoop is the problem is going to be is that there's two problems. One is this surface area is not particularly big. Like he mentioned, it is a kind of low pressure area, and the other problem is obviously the windscreen wipers on a wet day we wouldn't be able to use because the linkage would be in the way. So I've decided to go against that and take his advice. He was good enough to send me a link to Archangels that do fiberglass and carbon fibre, and they make like a ram air headlight bowl, and I think they're about £60. Now whether they're £60 each or a pair, I would think probably each, and basically all it is a fiberglass headlight bowl with a taper in it, so basically you're choking the air down. So I thought for that, perhaps another way we could do it is use an original plastic bowl, which is basically what they've got. The only difference is they've got a nice rounded edge on here to allow the flow better. But we're not talking hundreds and hundreds of miles an hour here, we're talking sort of 60 to 80, maybe 100 and something. And a complete plastic bowl like this with all the chrome and all the fittings, or with the fittings I should say, not the chrome, is £12. So this is a cheaper alternative. And this being plastic, I can actually drill a hole in this and put a PVC tubing inside it, which will go along into the back of the air vent and then come along into where the airbox is going to be. Now that sounds, and this is just a piece of mesh on it, so this mesh is half the size, but by the time you've choked it down it's half the size anyway, so there should be enough, and it looks quite nice as well. So I think that'll do the job. and as I say, you can just pop it in as you would normally, and it'll look quite nice. What we'll then do is put a solid piece of PVC pipe, like a waste pipe, down here onto these ends. But this bonnet, not this bonnet, but the fiberglass bonnet is going to, front, the bonnet's going to come off separately, and so is the hood going to come up this way. Now that would mean if you made an attachment, it wouldn't come up. So what I'll do is I'll build something where the inside vent and the tube going down to allow the air into the Weber carburettor, when it comes back down, they catch together on sponge filament or rubber. So basically they make a connection as you put the bonnet back down, which I have to work on, but that's the basic idea at the moment. And as I say, that's how it would go on. This is just a test piece. Obviously I would make pieces perfectly to fit, and it should do the job and look quite nice, and certainly aren't dangerous, so the track people shouldn't be overly concerned about it. So that's the idea behind it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start cutting, and we'll see. I have a feeling this side's going to be a bit of a problem because it looks like it's been tack welded underneath, which is very difficult to get to. So I might have to cut that on camera, off camera, but I'll cut the wings up now and basically support the front so I can get it off, and hopefully we can get it off in one shot. I doubt it though. So what I'm going to do now is cut the inner wings. I had to cut the edge of the scuttles panel here. Get my words right in a minute. The scuttle panel, because it was all rotten and it was just bogged with filler, and this one on this end is already bad, so I'll just put 2 repair panels in. There's no point in replacing the whole scuttle. It's a track day car, not a car that's going on the road. So what I'll do now is I'll cut these 2 inners and see how much more we have to do. As usual, what somebody's done is they've, to get the wing tight, they've actually welded the wing almost onto the scuttle panel, which is not the way it's supposed to sit. It should be spot welded down the sides, not against the scuttle. This is why it was managed to be pulled in so nicely. There should be a nice fit, a nice gap in down them. But they shouldn't actually be welded together, which is what somebody had done. Somebody had smacked it together and welded it. That's why I had to cut this scuttle out. Okay, so I'm going to take these 2 out and see what happens. I'll do this one first, alright? It's had new inner wings. Well, not new, but it had replacement inner wings. Okay, so you saw me cut then. So I need a bit more chop in there. Okay, hopefully this is still on and we can get this front off. Okay. There we go. Here's off. Second. Okay. Let's try again. Come on. Okay, so I see there's a little bit in the corner. It's always a weight, there's always some little tab or some piece of metal just stopping it coming off. Fortunately, the wings are not damaged. So, okay, there we are. Good. it's a lot easier with two, but most of the time you have to work on your own. So now what I can do is start cleaning everything up, get these edges right, and I'll bring you back in part 3. So stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby,